If you reach out to pet your cat and they pull away, stiffen up, or tolerate your touch for exactly 3 seconds before walking off, you probably think they're just being a typical cat, don't you? Aloof. Independent. Moody. And honestly, that's what everyone says about cats, so it makes sense. But here's what most cat owners never learn, and what I wish I'd understood years earlier. Your cat isn't being difficult or randomly affectionate. They're responding precisely to where and how you're touching them. And right now, chances are you're petting them in ways that trigger discomfort, anxiety, or outright stress, without having any idea you're doing it. Because here's the truth that nobody tells new cat owners. Not all petting is created equal. Your cat's body has areas that welcome touch, areas that merely tolerate it, and areas that actively hate it. And the zones most humans instinctively reach for? Those are often the exact places that make your cat's nervous system light up with stop, stop, stop signals that you're completely missing. The result? You think you're showing love. Your cat experiences boundary violation. And over time, they learn that your affection is unpredictable and uncomfortable, which is why they start avoiding your touch altogether. Most owners are making at least 2 or 3 of these mistakes right now, every single day, with cats who are too polite or too resigned to bite them for it. But the stress is there. The discomfort is real. And it's quietly damaging the trust that could exist between you. Let's start with the one everyone knows they shouldn't touch, but can't seem to resist anyway. 1. The belly, the trap you fall into every time. Let's address the obvious one first. Your cat rolls over and exposes their belly. It's soft, fluffy, irresistibly petable. Your hand moves toward it almost automatically. And the second you make contact, you get grabbed, bitten, kicked, or all 3. And you're standing there thinking, why did you show it to me if you didn't want me to touch it? Here's what most cat owners fundamentally misunderstand. The belly exposure is communication, not invitation. When a cat shows you their belly, they're displaying trust and comfort by revealing their most vulnerable area. But that doesn't translate to, please touch this extremely sensitive region. Research on feline tactile sensitivity shows that a cat's belly contains a high concentration of nerve endings designed to protect vital organs. In the wild, any touch to this area could signal an attack from a predator. Even in domestic cats living in complete safety, that neurological wiring remains. Touch to the belly triggers a defensive response that's often involuntary. A study published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery on feline handling and stress found that ventral contact, belly touching, was one of the most reliable triggers for defensive aggression, even in otherwise friendly cats. The researchers noted that the behavior isn't aggression in the emotional sense, it's a hardwired protective reflex. And here's the part that creates confusion. Some cats will tolerate belly rubs. A small percentage even seem to enjoy them. But for the vast majority, belly touching ranges from uncomfortable to genuinely distressing. And if your cat does the hug and kick response, they're not playing. They're saying, this touch is activating my defense systems. Stop. The fix is simple but requires impulse control. When your cat shows you their belly, appreciate it without touching it. Slow blink back at them. Talk to them gently. Acknowledge the trust display without violating it. That restraint is what actually builds deeper trust over time. 2. The paws and legs, the personal space violation. Here's one that most owners don't even realize is a problem. You're petting your cat, things are going well, and you extend your touch down to their legs or paws. Maybe you squeeze a paw gently, play with their toe beans, or stroke down their legs. And suddenly your cat pulls away or gives you a warning look. Cat paws are incredibly sensitive, both tactily and territorially. Here's why this matters. A cat's paws are their primary tools for everything: hunting, climbing, balance, defense, and environmental exploration. They're packed with nerve receptors that detect texture, temperature, and vibration. This sensitivity is survival critical, which means cats are neurologically protective of their paws. Research on feline tactile zones shows that paws and legs are low-tolerance areas for most cats, especially cats who aren't habituated to paw handling from kittenhood. Unless you've specifically conditioned your cat to accept paw touching, which is important for nail trimming and vet visits, most cats find it intrusive. Think about it from your cat's perspective. Their paws are how they interact with the world and how they escape danger. Having someone hold or manipulate them triggers a vulnerability response. It's similar to how humans often dislike having their hands restrained. There's an instinctive discomfort with losing control of our primary tools. And here's what makes this tricky. Many owners touch paws during otherwise pleasant petting sessions. Your cat is enjoying head scratches, you get comfortable, your hand wanders to their paws, and the whole interaction suddenly shifts from pleasant to uncomfortable. Your cat learns that your petting is unpredictable and might violate boundaries without warning. The solution? Keep petting to areas your cat actively enjoys, which we'll cover in detail later. Save paw touching for specific training sessions where you're building tolerance gradually with positive reinforcement, not during bonding time. 3. The base of the tail, the overstimulation trigger point. Does your cat seem to love being petted at the base of their tail, right above where the tail meets the body? They arch their back, raise their rear end, maybe even seem to push into your hand. So you keep petting there, maybe even scratching vigorously, and suddenly your cat whips around and bites you. What just happened? Here's the complicated truth about the tail base. It can feel intensely pleasurable and intensely overstimulating, sometimes within seconds of each other. This area has a high concentration of nerve endings and is connected to scent glands that cats use for marking. When stimulated, it can trigger a strong sensory response. For some cats, this feels amazing initially. The arching and raising behavior is a positive response. But here's the problem. The stimulation can escalate from pleasurable to overwhelming very quickly, especially if you're petting with too much pressure or for too long. It's similar to how tickling can feel good for a moment and unbearable the next. Research on feline sensory processing suggests that the tail base is a high arousal zone that can trigger both pleasure and agitation depending on intensity and duration. A study on petting-induced aggression in cats found that the tail base was one of the most common areas where owners continued touching past the cat's tolerance threshold. And here's the warning sign most owners miss. When your cat's tail starts twitching, even slightly, that's the transition from pleasure to overstimulation happening in real time. That twitch is your cat's nervous system saying, "This is getting to be too much." If you continue, the next response is often a bite or swat. The fix requires reading your cat's body language in real time. If you pet the tail base at all, watch for the first signs of overstimulation: tail twitching, skin rippling, ears flattening slightly, or sudden stillness. The moment you see any of these, stop touching that area and move to a calmer zone, or end the petting session entirely. If you're realizing you've been accidentally stressing your cat out with affection they never wanted, that's exactly why Whisker Wisdom exists. Subscribe so you learn to read what your cat is actually communicating, not what you hope they're feeling. And stay with me, because the next areas are the ones almost nobody realizes are problematic, and the solutions are simpler than you think. 4. Around the face. When you do it wrong, this one surprises people because the face and head are generally good petting zones. But there's a right way and a wrong way, and most owners are doing it wrong without realizing it. Here's what I mean. Do you pet your cat by approaching from above and placing your hand on top of their head? Do you pat rather than stroke? Do you come at their face from the front? Here's the problem. Cats have specific preferences for facial contact based on their sensory biology and threat assessment instincts. Approaching from above mimics how predators attack. Even if your cat trusts you completely, that overhead approach can trigger subtle stress responses. Research on feline social behavior shows that when cats greet each other affectionately, they approach face to face, at the same level, and make contact with scent glands located on the cheeks and chin. They don't come from above. And when they rub faces, it's a gentle, controlled contact, not patting or scratching. The patting motion that many people use is particularly problematic. Cats prefer smooth, stroking motions that follow the direction of their fur, not percussive tapping. Patting can feel jarring and unpredictable, especially on the sensitive head area. And here's the detail that matters. Coming at your cat's face from directly in front can feel confrontational. Direct, head-on approach is actually a threat display in cat body language. Friendly approaches happen from the side or from below, where the cat can see you coming without feeling confronted. The right way to pet a cat's face: offer your hand from the side or below, let them initiate contact by rubbing their cheek against your hand, then follow up with gentle strokes along the cheek, under the chin, and behind the ears. You're working with their scent glands, cheeks, chin, forehead, and letting them control the pressure and angle. That's comfortable facial contact versus stressful. 5. Against the grain, the sensory nightmare you're creating. Here's one that seems minor but drives cats crazy. You're petting your cat, but you're stroking against the direction their fur grows. Maybe you're doing it intentionally because you like the way the fur feels, or maybe you're just not paying attention to direction. Either way, this is creating sensory discomfort that compounds with every stroke. Cat fur grows in specific patterns for very good reasons: insulation, waterproofing, and sensory function. Each hair is connected to nerve receptors at the follicle. When you stroke with the grain, the direction of fur growth, you're creating smooth, predictable sensory input. When you stroke against the grain, you're bending hairs in unnatural directions and creating irritating sensory static. Think about it in human terms. Imagine someone rubbing your arm gently in one direction versus rubbing it backwards, pulling arm hairs in the wrong direction. The sensation is fundamentally different. One is soothing. The other is annoying. Research on animal tactile comfort shows that directional consistency in petting significantly affects whether the animal finds the touch pleasant or aversive. Cats specifically show increased signs of agitation, skin twitching, tail lashing, ear rotation, when petted against fur direction. And here's what makes this worse: many owners don't even notice they're doing it. They're watching TV, petting absent-mindedly, and their hand is going back and forth without attention to fur direction. Meanwhile, their cat is tolerating increasingly uncomfortable sensation until they finally leave or bite. The fix is simple: pay attention to fur direction and always stroke with it, not against it. Shoulder to tail. Head to shoulder. Cheek along the jawline. Natural, smooth motions that follow the fur pattern. 6. Where you should actually pet: the sweet spots. So if the belly, paws, tail, base, when overdone, and face, when done wrong, are all problematic, where are you supposed to pet your cat? Here's the good news. There are several zones that most cats genuinely enjoy being touched, and focusing on these areas will dramatically improve your cat's reception to your affection. The cheeks and chin: this is prime territory. Cats have major scent glands here, and they actively want to rub these areas against objects and beings they're bonding with. When you scratch under the chin or along the cheeks, you're helping them mark you, which is a socially positive activity. Plus, these are areas cats can't easily groom themselves, so your touch serves a practical function. Behind and at the base of the ears, most cats love gentle scratching or stroking here. The area is accessible but not vulnerable, and the sensation seems to be universally pleasurable. Watch your cat's response. If they lean into it or close their eyes, you've hit the sweet spot. The forehead and top of the head: as long as you're not approaching from directly above in a threatening manner, most cats enjoy gentle head rubs. Use smooth strokes from between the eyes back toward the ears. Along the back, spine area: long, smooth strokes from head to mid-back are generally well received. This mimics how a mother cat would groom kittens. But watch for that tail twitch if you go too far back toward the tail base. Research on preferred petting locations in cats, published in Applied Animal Behavior Science, found that the head and neck region generated the most positive responses, while the belly and tail base generated the most negative responses. The study concluded that focusing on the head region significantly increased positive human-cat interactions. 7. The body language that tells you everything. Here's the ultimate truth that matters more than any specific body part. Where you pet matters less than whether you're reading your cat's consent and comfort signals. You could pet the right areas in the right way and still stress your cat out if you're ignoring their communication. Here are the signals that mean, yes, this is good, keep going. Slow blinking while being petted, purring, though some cats purr when stressed, so combined with other signals, kneading or making biscuits, leaning into your touch, raising their head or pushing into your hand, ears in a neutral, forward position, relaxed body, maybe even rolling slightly. Here are the signals that mean, "I'm getting uncomfortable, please stop." Tail twitching or lashing, ears rotating backward or flattening, skin rippling, especially on the back, sudden stillness or tension, eyes dilating, pupils getting bigger, head turning to watch your hand, body shifting away from your touch. And here are the signals that mean, "Stop now." Tail thrashing, ears flat against head, growling or hissing, attempting to bite or swat, jumping away. A study on feline handling and stress found that owners who responded to early discomfort signals had cats who were more tolerant of petting overall, while owners who ignored signals until the cat escalated to aggression created cats who became reactive more quickly over time. Your cat is constantly telling you whether your touch is welcome. The question is whether you're listening. Every petting session is a conversation. Your hand speaks. Your cat's body answers. And if you're paying attention to the answers, you'll never have to guess whether you're petting the right place, because your cat is telling you in real time. What this all means for your relationship: here's the bottom line that changes everything. Your cat doesn't need you to pet them perfectly every single time. What they need is for you to respect their boundaries and respond to their communication. A cat who knows that no will be honored is a cat who says yes more often. When you stop petting the belly even though it's cute, when you avoid the paws even though the toe beans are adorable, when you read the tail twitch and stop before overstimulation hits, when you approach the face respectfully instead of from above, you're doing something profound. You're proving that your affection is safe, that your touch is predictable, that their boundaries matter. And cats who feel that safety? They seek out more contact, not less. They become more affectionate, not because you're forcing it, but because they've learned that your touch feels good and stops when it should. That's the foundation of genuine trust. The goal was never to pet your cat as much as possible. It was to pet them in ways they actually enjoy, creating moments of connection that feel good to both of you. And that happens when you work with their biology instead of against it. At Whisker Wisdom, we believe the best affection is the kind that's actually welcome. If this changed how you think about petting your cat, share it with someone who's still going for the belly every time. Your cat has been telling you where they like to be touched and where they don't. Now you finally know how to listen. And maybe tomorrow, when you reach out to pet them, you'll aim for the cheeks instead of the belly, stroke with the grain instead of against it, and watch for the slow blink that says, "Yes, this is exactly right." That's not just better petting. That's a better relationship, built on consent and communication instead of assumptions and wishful thinking. Your cat will thank you for it. Probably by actually enjoying your affection for once.